with the extracting of data from appointment letter and the payroll form right here. The next thing that we have to do is we have to log in to the web portal that we were talking about and then enter some data into it and extract employee ID and mail ID. If I just look at the import arguments, there is nothing in it. So let's open this. Now, if we can see, there's something called URL that we are using, which is hard coded over here. Copy this, Control A, copy, go back to this and directly to the config file. And paste it. For this, create a value or the key. Site URL. Now, we have them as key and value pair. Going back to it, if I just want to use that particular thing, which will be available in the dictionary file, I have to create a config variable, right, which is of int type, and the data type of it will be dictionary. Here it is string and this is object. Save that, and if you just go back to process, that is available here, so just pass that to this. Fine. In config, and it's accessible to this particular XAML right now. So just go to this, clear the field in config of whatever name that we have given to that particular URL. It's site URL. Copy this and paste it right here. Then toString. We are done. So we will have that particular URL value available within this open browser right now. Going down, so as we can see, the value of first name is hard-coded as Sharath. The last name is hard-coded as Raju. Date of birth and everything here is hard-coded, but we have to make them dynamic, right? To do that, let's create a variable, the argument as in argument, so that we can pass the first name from this particular workflow where we have the available values in variables to this particular XAML, with the help of which we are going to generate the employee ID and the email ID, and then we have to send those two out again. Okay, coming back, let's create the arguments for the first name, the last name, in last name, then its date of birth, then designation, it's designation, so in designation. Once that is done, the other thing that we need is gender. In gender, if we just remember, we were having the gender name as male earlier, which is hard-coded, delete it and replace this with, so because we have all the arguments available, let's go back to it and replace all of those things with the values that we have right now in gender, and this the argument we have created in designation, and then in date of birth. Here it's in last name. Here it's in first name. Once that is done, if I just move ahead, there are some things we are trying to fetch from the UI screen that is available. It's employee ID and employee email. So these are few values that we are trying to fetch from the email, and we have to get those values out from this XAML to this process file so that we can go ahead and write them back to an Excel available to us, which is a master sheet. To get those values out, we should delete this variables and create the arguments with out direction. Out employee ID, which is of type out, and then out employee mail ID, and this is also an out argument. But the type of this, we go back to this and replace this with the argument that we have, out email ID, and this is no longer available. Sorry, that should go here. This is out email ID that we have fetched, and this is out, remove that, out mail ID. So with this we are done with this. So we are just trying to pass these values now, which are exposed to this process XAML. These are few values we are trying to send in, and these are few values we are trying to get out. So just create employee ID and email ID variables here so that we can get them over here. Employee ID, which is of string type, and employee mail ID, which is of string type too. So let's go back to it, try to pass the variables that whatever we have with us, first name, last name, date of birth, designation, okay, so this is gender, and here the out variables, employee ID and employee mail ID. Let's use a message box so that we can see if we are able to fetch those details. This VBLF to introduce a new line and employee mail ID. Once that is done, let's go into it. Yes, fine. So let me run it once. Before that, I have to close down this thing, save, and I'm trying to run it.